And good evening, Sword Family. And welcome to another edition of the Teahouse and our Chinese Female Folk Hero Month. I think I mixed up the order there, but you get the idea. And we are going to be discussing Liáng Hóngyù today, which is another person that I've just recently discovered because doing this month has been just all about finding new people and finding people that I didn't know about because, unfortunately, when it comes to women folk heroes, I was not as well versed as with the male folk heroes, which is my fault. I fully admit that's my mistake in researching these things. Sorry. It decided to inform me just as I hit go live that my StreamYard lost access to my Kick account, so I had to go ahead and go fix that. And we need thank you. When it comes to Chinese women, the ones that I discussed a couple of months back when I did just a single show on several folk heroes, those were the ones that I knew the best. They're the ones that were, we'll say, the most well-known in certain circles. But people like Liáng and Liáng Hóngyù, these are people I hadn't researched before. So this has been enlightening for me just as much as it has been for all of you. And I want to sincerely say I appreciate people making me learn things that I didn't know about. Because when I don't know something, I have to learn more. And we haven't done this for a couple of years now, but my father and I used to sit down and watch episodes of Forged in Fire, right? And when they would reveal the weapon that the Smiths are supposed to make, my dad was always amazed at how many of these weapons I already knew. And it's because I am a voracious learner. I have to know these things. And Foxy can absolutely attest to this. When a weapon popped up that I didn't know, I had to immediately run home and get on the computer and learn everything I could about that weapon. Because I didn't know. When there's something I don't know, I have to find out. It's like this little tick in my brain. Stop, bud. You can't have my hand right now. Stop it. You're being a pest. So, again, I want to say I really, really appreciate all of the people in my audience that convinced me to do this month, because now that we're on, the second of 3 or possibly 4, I am going to make essentially make a vow right now that all of the women that I am discussing this month are going to be people that I didn't know about. They're going to be people that I am just learning about this month. Because Wu Zetian and Neng Wei and Mulan, these are all people that are well known in Chinese historical and martial arts circles. So I have to branch out myself and learn new things just so that I can sit here and do this. So you're hearing this for the first time right now. Next week, and possibly the week after, there are going to be people that I have not learned about. We're going to learn about them. Going to learn about them together. That is my statement right now. We're learning about them together. So, we are going to do this really fast because I need to. Okay, yes, good. I'm going to have to bring this up because just leave that right there. Okay. So, as always, before we get started, we're going to go through our comments. Not that many tonight, but that's cool. I don't mind. And first through the door at 4:53 p.m. is Dan Hollifield. Good evening, Dan. And next up is Foxy. Evening, Dan. How are you? And Aunt Donna joins us. Hey, Foxy and Dan. And greetings for Donna. Dan's doing well. Found 2 more boxes of books in the barn today. Put the convention totes on shelves and brought the books to the house. Still missing a few items, so further barn searching is due. Storage is, I like that sometimes, yeah. We were in a hurry, so a few boxes got labeled. Donna not only color codes her totes, but labels are not just Halloween decorations, but which exact decorations are in each tote. Took time to do, but so worth it. Yeah. Oh, quiet, you. Notification. Go away. When you have time, that's the way to go. It definitely would be. And Kitty is joining us. Hey, y'all. Hello, kitten. You have to make time if you want to be organized. Very true. But then I was a secretary bookkeeper, so that kind of shit is in my bones. That doesn't surprise me, honestly. Greetings for Kitty. Greetings for Kitty. Just about time. Yeah, about 5 minutes. And Ruby is joining us. Hey, y'all. Hello, Ruby. And more greetings for Ruby. And more Chinese lady goodness. Well, that's the idea, yeah. More greetings for Ruby. And Carl joins us, the birthday boy. The birthday boy, Uncle Carl. Happy birthday, Carl. And Inigo says happy birthday, too. And he would give you some chomps, because that's what he does for birthdays and everydays. You watch it. You already got my hand once today. Hello, everyone. And Donna greeting the Woodsman dude. Easier than trying not to miss anyone. That's very true. Greetings. Greetings. Carl got into greeting each person back when he was the warm-up for Brian K. Morris. Okay. So it's your fault. Yes, it is. It is Carl's fault. We will blame Carl for everything. Liked and shared. Thank you. I try to, unless several people join at once. Yeah. Carl accepts the blame. Foxy, you are the tumbler. I don't know that word. Encouraging everyone to participate. I don't know that word. Sure, try to be. Tummier. Tumblr. Look it up sometime. It's like an MC. Really? Well, I learned a word. Nice. And there's our lone Twitch viewer, Midnight, over there on Twitch. Hey, Sword People. Hello, Midnight. Wow, it's a real word? Well, okay, cool. You doubted me? Well, I have played, like, Scrabble with enough people that I will either be one of two minds when I see a word that I don't know. I will either, like I said before, immediately go out and look up the word just so I can know what it means. Or I will just go, yeah, okay, whatever, we're moving on. And Foxy giggles. Of course I did. Well, ate the first two comments. Well, depending on when you put them up there, I think they only last for a certain amount of time. I don't know how long. I've never really, like, tested it to see how long it is, but I don't think they... Well, no, that's not entirely true, because Dan's put things up at, like, 2 or 3 in the morning, so I don't know. Huh. I'm going to have to look into that and see why sometimes you can put a comment in really early and it shows up and other times it doesn't. Yum, yum, tasty comments. Well, you know, Foxy is pretty tasty, so. Did make them about 8 o'clock this morning. That's what I thought. Don't forget to like and share and all that. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. And Sarah's joining us. Sarah! Listening while waking up for the evening. Oh, dear. Should I be more quiet now? Shh. I gotta be quiet for Sarah. She's just waking up. Shh. No, I can't do that. Greetings for Midnight. Greetings for Sarah. More greetings for Sarah. More greetings for Sarah. It is always, always nice to have Sarah around. It's kind of hard to believe that it has been a whole year since we got this guy over here. Since we got him neutered. And you know why I know it was a year ago? Because on the way home from dropping him off, that was where I came up with the idea of recording a special birthday song for Uncle Carl. So now, every year on Carl's birthday, it is also going to be the anniversary of Inigo getting neutered and me coming up with the brilliant idea of having Foxy record a happy birthday song. Oh, don't be quiet? Okay, I cannot be quiet. All right, so I'm going to bring this up just fairly quickly. If we can get this a little bit more centered, that's probably good. We are going to share screens. There is a website that exists. And there's also a or a couple of books out there called Rejected Princesses. And it is essentially a bunch of women from history that were, how do I put this? They weren't the demure little housewives that most people want to think of when they think of princesses, like Disney princesses, things like that. And I learned about a lot of female historical figures from this website. I don't have the book, which is kind of sad because I wish I did. But the website, go ahead and bring this up. Each one of these, except for where you have like a number 2, each one of these is a woman from history. So like, we'll click right here. Ani Pachin, when China invaded her native land, this would-be monk put down her pacifist dreams and took up arms. So, Central China. Beijing. Yoshiko Kawashima, bisexual cross-dressing spot. Let's try that again. Bisexual cross-dressing spy princess of the Qing dynasty and hero to some and unspeakable villain to others. So you can see, just in China, not including Korea, not including Japan, there's several just right here in mainland China. If there's 2 of them close to each other, you click on those and it kind of zooms in closer. Mother Lu, Li Qi, so if you're ever like interested in looking up, again, female historical figures, and you can look up here G, PG, PG-13, R, history, myth, literature, martial arts, intellectual, professional. You can search, and from 2000 BCE to 2014 CE, if you want to scroll on the map, you have to hit Control, and then you can scroll out. Now we're back to where we started. We have Mongolia, Japan. We can scroll out some more. I mean, look at these. Every single one of these, except for where you have numbers, that's multiples. Sorry, my eye is dry. My contact has been giving me hell today because of the weather change. If you want to learn about female historical figures, I am going to go ahead and drop this link in the chat here. And you can go look these. You know, you can find things that you didn't know, people that you didn't know about. one of my favorites. See if I can find her. Black Agnes. I think there is... Yes. There is a search button. So... I know I didn't spell that right, but... Yeah, of course not. Try that. There it is. That's one of my favorites right there. But that is, not Chinese. But once again, just for fun, we're going to go ahead and drop that link in the chat too. And you can go and read on this wonderful, crazy woman here. Just one quick little story to show you why she is one of my favorite female historical figures. She broke into a convent to, we'll say, liberate her lover. She was, at the very least, bisexual, if not just straight up into women. So she broke into a convent to liberate her lover, and she ended up burning the convent to the ground and running off with a nun. Yeah. So she's definitely an interesting one. And for the people who watched my tea time with Kimmy all the way back almost a year ago now, she mentioned that character. And she's definitely an interesting person to read up on. But again, not Chinese, so. Liáng Hóngyù, 1102 to 1135. Not exactly a very long-lived individual. She was only 32 or 33 years old when she died, which is not exactly the greatest lifespan. But she was in the Song dynasty. And no one actually knows what her name was. They don't actually have any historical record of her, actual given name. Which is kind of unfortunate when you're talking about a historical figure. She was simply known as Liáng Shi, which just means Lady Liáng. Hóngyù, which means red jade, was the name that she was given in legends and operas and novels after she died, which, again, she died in battle. This was not, dying bedridden at home. Oh, excuse me. She died in battle. So not, old age got her. Recall hearing about the convent burning gal on another podcast. She is fairly infamous. We'll go with infamous. Yeah. So, her father was an army commander during the Song Dynasty when the dynasty was threatened by the Jin dynasty. And because their home was constantly being bombarded by battle after battle after battle, her father was like, you know what? Just like our last one, he taught her martial arts. And he refused to bind her feet, which was a common practice for women at that time. So her father alone was bucking tradition and saying, I'm not going to bind my daughter's feet, and I'm going to teach her martial arts just in case there comes a time where she has to fight for her home. She'll be able to do it. And many accounts claim that she was incredibly strong for a woman and a master of archery, just like Liáng Hóngyù, just like last week. They're both very, very good at archery. But it can't all be sunshine and rainbows. So at one point, her father loses a battle. But this wasn't just any battle. This was a very important battle. And that battle cost the Song Dynasty a great deal. And as punishment, the entire family was reduced to slaves, which, in my opinion, sucks. This is something that I've never agreed with, no matter the culture, no matter the mistake that was made. I have never believed that because one person screws up, the entire family has to be punished. I mean, what did she do that she has to become a slave because her dad screwed up and lost one battle? One time. One. Was it an important battle? Obviously it was an important battle, but you don't need to punish the entire damn family. That's just... it's evil. She didn't do anything, but the whole family becomes slaves. Now, there are some accounts that are supposedly unreliable accounts that her slave job might be similar to the modern day wrestler. Because in the Song Dynasty, women wrestling was a popular sport. And even emperors would come to view women in public wrestling matches. Now, why would that be? Well, that's because most women wrestlers were dressed the same as the male wrestlers, which meant that when they wrestled in nothing but a loincloth. So you can imagine topless women in loincloths wrestling each other would be a pretty popular spectacle during any time period. That would be true today. People would come from miles and miles around to see something like that, if for no other reason. And this is going to probably upset some people, but go away, TwitchBot. You go take care of that for me, Midnight. I'm not paying for viewers. That's trash. Anyway, people would come from miles around to see topless women wrestle, if for no other reason than because boobs. And if you're going to deny that fact, you're a liar. You lie. So I can imagine that would be something that emperors and high-ranking court officials would want to go see. But during the Ming Dynasty, this was banned because the people of that era felt that it was indecent. But Liáng Hóngyù has been recorded as a nujia, which means a female slave. Now, she was also stated to be a yiren, which is translated as a performer or an actress. But during the Song Dynasty, the term kind of became synonymous with a prostitute. So she was probably a prostitute, which is why, in the title I put from prostitute to general, because she was most likely a prostitute. Now, as a lot of stories go, at some point in her prostitution career, she meets a man named Han Shizhong. But there are different versions on how they met. The most believable version is they met at a banquet where she was entertaining his troops. He had led his men to crush a rebellion in southern China, and Han Shizhong had personally arrested the rebel leader. However, Han Shizhong's superior stole the credit. Big surprise there. But somehow, Hóngyù knew about the truth, and she admired his victory. So she started saving up money to pay for her own freedom. And eventually, she was able to pay her way. And after she was free, she became Han Shizhong's second wife after his first wife passed away. Now, Both Hóngyù's grandfather and her father were generals in the Song dynasty. And they were both executed for failing to defeat the rebel leader that Han Shizong arrested. So that's how she ended up in the brothel, is because her father and grandfather could not defeat this rebel leader, and they were both executed. The family is reduced to slaves, and she's forced to work in a military brothel. But because of her training, she was an incredibly strong person. And it's said that she could pull military bows that only the strongest of soldiers could pull, and she was accurate with these military bows. Now, here's a small aside that we have to talk about for just a moment here. When we're talking about military bows, we're talking about composite recurve bows that have poundages in the 180 to 200 pound range. So you have to imagine a woman being able to pick up a bow that only the biggest, strongest soldiers could pull, and her walking up, picking this bow up, drawing it, firing it, and hitting the target. Not only could she draw the bow and fire the bow, she was accurate with the bow. So you got to imagine, let's just paint a picture here, because we don't know for certain if anything like this happened, but I'm going to paint a small picture for you just for effect. So she's at this banquet celebrating Han Shizong, and she is entertaining Han Shizong's troops. And for whatever reason, there's a rack in the room with war bows on it. So Liáng Hóngyù, as part of her performance, walks up to one of these bows. She pulls one off the rack. She walks up to a random soldier in the audience. She hands him the bow. And of course, there's a target there, because if there's bows there, there's going to be a target. So he walks up, pulls an arrow out, knocks the arrow. He can't draw the bow. So he kind of hangs his head and walks back to his seat. And this woman, smaller than him, this prostitute, this actress, picks the bow up, picks up the same arrow, knocks the arrow, draws that arrow, fires the arrow, and hits the center of the target. If that happened, I'm not saying it did. This is a story that I'm telling for effect. If that happened, you're going to tell me that every single person in that audience is not going to go, damn, holy shit. They are going to be impressed. So she was strong, she was accurate, and they say that she carried herself not like a prostitute. She carried herself like a noble woman. So you can see why Han Shizhong would be enamored with this woman. And they got, married after his wife died. So she joined her husband as his second in command. And the Jin dynasty is still hammering the Song dynasty, and she joins her husband's army. And that army becomes part of the main force against the Jin dynasty after Song lost its capital and northern China. After the Jin captured 2 of Song's emperors, the third emperor reestablished the government in southern China. But in 1129, there was a coup in the imperial court, and that emperor was held hostage and forced to abdicate his throne. Now, at that time, Han Shizhong was leading an army at the front. But Hóngyù was not. And she was put under house arrest by the rebels in the hope that it would force him to surrender. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. Because she worked with the loyalists of the emperor to come up with a plan to mislead the rebel leader into releasing her as a messenger. So she comes up with this plan to convince the rebel leader into, well, here's what you're going to do. As a sign of goodwill, you can release me and I'll go ride to my husband and I can deliver a message to you. I can deliver a message to him from you. And the rebel leader went, okay. And he sent her off. And immediately, she rides to the front line and gives her husband a detailed description of all of the defenses of the rebels in the town. So he was able to immediately take his army and crush this rebellion and restore the emperor to his throne. Now, again, how stupid do you have to be to take your hostage, the wife of a general that you have taken hostage, to force her husband to surrender. Hey, Don, we still got a little while. You're all good. Oh, Bookfest. Bookfest sounds nice. Oh, by the way, Don, I want to say thank you a great deal for that Kindle book that you turned me on to last night in the green room, because not only was it a book about ancient Japan, there was also one for ancient China. So I got both for free. So I want to thank you for that. That was really cool. I appreciate it. And Don greeting the birthday boy. Okay, so again, you have a prisoner that you're holding specifically to try and force her husband to surrender to you. And she comes to you and says, if you let me go, I will go and I will deliver a message to my husband and I will make him surrender. And you just let her go? Come on now. Now, this is probably all equal parts true. The rebel leader wasn't as stupid as he was misogynistic, probably. I think it's a little bit of both, because it's incredibly stupid as well. Quite welcome. Yes. If you're going to capture someone with the express purpose of holding that person as a hostage to try and make their spouse do something for you, and then you just let them go? What did she tell you? I'll come right back, I promise. I'm just going to go out for some milk and some cigarettes. No. Absolutely not. That was just incredibly, incredibly stupid. But he, lost because of it. And afterwards, after the emperor was returned to his throne, the emperor rewards her with the rank of Yangguo Fu Ren. Yangguo Fu Ren, which means the noble lady of Yang, which was not related to the rank of her husband. This was unique in Chinese history because most noble women, got their rank through their husband's rank. So her getting her own rank outside of her husband's rank definitely makes her a unique character. Yeah, that was dumb. That's an understatement. So now we get to Liáng Hóngyù's most famous battle. The Battle of Huangtiandang. Huangtiandang. The Jin army invaded Hangzhou again in 1129, shortly after the coup was crushed. And Hóngyù and her husband led their forces to ambush the enemy army on their way back to Jin territory. The troops were outnumbered, and it began a series of naval battles fought on the Yangtze River. And this is where Hóngyù is the most famous. She created a plan where she would direct the soldiers with drums, which is why the picture that I chose for the thumbnail shows her with a drum. Because she came up with a plan to lead troops with drums. Now, when the battle started, the Song troops, like I said, they were outnumbered, and they kept getting pushed back and pushed back because the Jin troops had superior numbers. So Liáng Hóngyù put on her helmet, put on her armor, and led the charge straight into the enemy formation. Beating her drums, wearing full armor, she led her troops right into the enemy. And this became the turning point of the entire battle. Because her troops saw their leader, their second in command, going into battle, beating drums, wearing full armor, and this energized her troops. And it turned the battle. And you also had tiger ships, which are Chinese ships that had flamethrowers on them. And the tiger ships destroyed a lot of the Jin Navy because of Liáng Hóngyù and her drums. And for over a month, you got to keep this part in mind. Just for over a month, the Jin army was trapped. Because of Liáng Hóngyù and her drums, plus the tiger ships, they were held for over a month. Now, I'm going to see if I can find, because I'm curious. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be able to. Trying to see if I can find a picture of a tiger ship. And I cannot. Which is unfortunate. Let's try this. Oh, there we go. That's not a bad one. So let's bring this up. Share screen again. So this is a Song Dynasty ship. Now, this is a different kind of ship, but you get the general idea. This is a tower ship, but oh, be quiet, you. You have to, like, picture in your mind on the deck, kind of where you would expect to see cannons on, like, a pirate ship. You would have flamethrowers. So you see something like this coming at you with giant flame cannons on the deck, belching fire at you. You can definitely see why that would hold off a group for a time. But over a month is pretty damn impressive. To hold an army that was beating you before you showed up. Now, unfortunately, a traitor in Liáng Hóngyu's army revealed a weakness in the encirclement, and the Jin were able to escape, but with heavy, heavy losses. So, just in this battle, Quangtiandang, you have Liáng Hóngyù leading troops with drums, controlling ground troops and naval ships, again with drums, and she's able to hold off a superior military force for over a month. Again, you have to give credit where it is due. This woman was a badass. You cannot deny this woman was a badass. So, unfortunately, as most of these stories will, it comes to an end. And in 1135, Han Shizhong was appointed Jiedu Shi, which is a regional military governor. So he was appointed basically a governor of Wuning and Hua. And Han Shizhong and Liáng Hóngyù rebuilt a fortress in Wuning and Hua, and her husband and their soldiers rebuilt houses and replanted fields. Now, what happened to Qin Liangyu last week when she retired? What did she do? She rebuilt a town. She planted crops. The exact same thing here. She rebuilt a town. She planted crops with her soldiers. It's the same thing. You have a military general rebuilding a town, planting crops, making a community out of her soldiers. Now, there are several different stories about how Liáng Hóngyù died. The first one was that her and her husband were set to retire in a town called West Lake. But her husband died, and 2 years later, she died. The second was that she was poisoned during a banquet and died. But the third one is rumor that her and her husband were trapped by the Jin army, and they fought side by side until they died. And supposedly, their deaths were gruesome as all hell to show the brutal nature of the Jin army, and possibly as propaganda to make the Jin army be the irredeemable evil people that most militaries need their enemies to be. So either she did retire and die of old age, or she was poisoned, or she died in battle. Which one was it? I don't know. There's even speculation that this person didn't even exist. It's another myth. It's another legend. Do we know for sure that this was an actual person? No, not really. But who knows? So, Liáng Hóngyù and her army fought in a campaign to drive out the Jin forces. She was winning battle after battle after battle, so the Jin army was terrified of her, to the point that whenever her banner appeared on the battlefield, they would run away. And this might have led her to underestimate the fighting capability of the Jin army. This is one of the stories about how she died. I should have prefaced that with saying this. This is one of the stories about how she died in battle. Okay? So, she was infamous. The Jin army would flee just from her banner appearing. And this made her think that she was invincible. So the Jin army hitched a plan. And on October 6th of 1135, she led a raid of a supply line of a small cavalry force. But this was a trap set by the Jin army generals. She walked into an ambush. They were outnumbered 10-1, and the Jin army had their iron tower, which is a heavy cavalry, heavy infantry force that is completely protected by heavy armor. But this did not deter her. she led the charge straight into the enemy formation. And the Jin archers are just volleying arrows at her over and over and over. She's hit several times. Her armor is soaked in blood. But she manages to break the enemy formation and kills dozens of enemies. But eventually, the blood loss becomes too much for her. She falls off her horse, and the Jin soldiers finish the job. Now, there is a huge reward on her head. So a fight breaks out among the Jin soldiers for ownership of her dead body. To the point where Jin soldiers are killing each other for getting too close and touching the corpse. But eventually, her body is chopped up into pieces, and soldiers are taking bits and pieces of her body to go get promotions in the army. The person who got her head got promoted 2 ranks, and others only got a 1 rank. This death was a great victory to the Jin army. They impaled her naked torso, her legs, her thighs, and her arms on spears to display them at the front line in occupied cities for 3 days to make people back off. Her head was preserved in a wooden box and taken to the Jin capital, where the emperor ordered her head displayed in public by hanging it on the front gate of the capital. However, even her own enemies thought this was too much. And one of her arch rivals ordered his soldiers to gather all of the dismembered body parts, stitch them back together, and return her body to the Song army for a proper burial. And while sewing the body back together, they found hundreds of wounds on her body, and 7 of them were found to be fatal. So she had 7 fatal wounds before she fell. And when the Song government heard that she fell in battle, they gave her the title of Yingle Yangguo Fu Ren, which means the heroic and valiant Lady of Yang. She was given a state funeral with the highest honor, and her family were given silver and cloth from the emperor himself. And a temple was erected in Chuzhou that still exists to this day. And her corpse was exhumed and moved in to a mausoleum with her husband. There have been poetry written about her, books, and again, her Liáng Hóngyù, who we discussed last week, He Yufeng, and Hua Mulan. She is one of the most well-known female warriors in China. So that might be the next person that we discuss, is He Yufeng. Because you have Qin Liang, Liáng Hóngyù, He Yufeng, and Hua Mulan, the most well-known female warriors of China. So, Liáng Hóngyù, prostitute. Well, actually, let's start at the beginning. Martial artist to prostitute to general. A great woman, an amazing historical figure, and again, one of the most well-known female warriors of China. So we might, next week, be talking about He Yufeng. Another info-filled show. Thank you. Thank you very much, Carl. I know I say this all the time, but I have to keep... That's the reason that I do this. Is not just to teach other people about Chinese history, Chinese culture, Chinese philosophy, martial arts, but also to teach myself. Because before this week, I had no idea about who this person was. And now I'm like, I want to learn more. There's not apparently a whole lot more to learn, but I want to learn more. I want to find out about these tiger ships. I want to find out more about this battle that she led people with drums. It's impressive to me. And, you know, when you do things like this, and you learn things that you didn't know before, it's like you just have to keep learning. You know, there's an old saying, and I want to say it's an old Chinese saying, but I don't know for sure. There's an old saying that, you know, when you stop learning, you die. And that's kind of how I feel. You know, flowing water never grows stale. That is a quote. I heard that from Bruce Lee, but I'm sure it came from, you know, somebody before him. But I am very firmly of the opinion that as long as you're learning, as long as you're advancing, you're living. Once you stop learning, once you stop advancing, once you stop becoming more than you were before, you're dying. Now, it might take several decades for you to finally kick off this mortal coil. But the moment that you stop learning, you started the process of dying. And that's why I want to continue to learn, to grow. Because I want to keep living. And that's what this is about. That's what this channel is about. That's what this show is about. Learning, teaching, growing. It's all part of the Teahouse. So, very interesting. Thank you. Great show. Thank you, Midnight. Great show. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. awesome woman, and she really was. Try to learn at least one thing a day. Well, you learned something about, what was it, stuffing? Learned something about stuffing today. All right, so once again, special thank you to my patrons, Carl Whitman, Dan Hollifield, Rich Asplin Jr., and Joe and Trelena Bachman. You guys are great. Great woman. She really was. Donna, you need to go check out that Rejected Princesses site. Because there might be some Norse women on there that you're not aware of. And even if you are, you can learn some new stuff. There is some great information on that website. I suggest anybody check out that website. And I love you too, Sarah. We've never met in person. Most of the people in this chat, I've never met in person. I love you guys. You're my sword family. I love you a lot. You are amazing people. You're great people. I couldn't do this without you guys. My patrons, the sword family, everyone. But I will be back on Monday for a new rousing adventure of Inigo Bartoya and 9 Dragons. If you don't see me then, possibly on Wednesday on Creative to Play over on the Indie CD channel. And if you don't see me then, I will be back right here next Saturday for another Chinese historical woman folk hero. That's still the verb order still just, it doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Later all, yes. See everyone on Monday sometime during the day, probably. I will see you all next time. If you haven't, please go check out my video on where I tuned my gujin. I actually filmed that back. Oh, geez. Now I have to actually go and check. October 29th was when I filmed that. It was enlightening. We'll just put it that way. But I will see you all when I see you. 再见。